Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Shantae and the Pirate Curse. I think that's the name of this game. In the last recording we had to get the ham smell by hitting this ham and it sucking it into the lamp, and then that went all the way to the top of 3 screens above this point to a big old lizard dragon, and he started drooling and he filled in the pool, which turned these two Spring Breaker girls who are blonde happy, so that they took off their outer layer of clothes to reveal their two-piece bikinis, and because they're blonde they had pale white skin, and then the sun reflected off of both of them into the center of the star symbol behind in the background, and that gave us a spell, and a petrification spell. One point to mention there is they have actively picked blonde, pale girls so that their skin would be pale and reflective, where I suppose Shantae, being more of a Persian Indian type skin tone, would not have that factor. So we're supposed to take the petrification down to where the wife was, and maybe that will give us a slowdown mechanic where these statues might stay up higher for longer. Either that, or I may have to just adjust the frame rate on the game because the game is potentially running too fast. So the husband gave us the ring that allowed us to raise those statues to get up to where the monster was, the dragon, to get him to drool. You found something. You gave the petrify spell. Gasp, could it be? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if instead of unpetrifying the wife, the husband here, who is very old probably compared to the wife, who probably didn't age, I wouldn't be surprised if he just petrifies himself. You found the spell that turned my beloved to stone. At long last, I can finally reverse its effects. Hush, my beloved, whilst I speak the sacred words. Now, I wouldn't put it past the comedy of this game for her to say she's been able to hear him this whole time and she hates him, or she doesn't even know who he is, or she hated him all along. Petrify. And that seems to have released some dark metric. Yeah, you can definitely see Shantae is brown skinned, so the idea of her skin being shiny in the sun to reflect the sun's rays is somewhat unlikely, although it still certainly could happen. Yeah, I figured something like that was going to happen. This game, much more than the previous game, has definitely been built around the idea of subverting expectations and putting a comedic bent to it. Whoopsies. So down we go to the Spittle Maze. The Spittle Maze, because it's the spit of the dragon. And this is a whole different area. I still kind of feel like I would prefer an open world map, but it doesn't seem like we're gonna need it or get it. I guess the two people either shattered after being petrified and falling down, or they fell down somewhere different. See, that's a great example here where the snakes feel like they're spawning fairly fast there. Faster than you would think was reasonable. And this definitely feels like a dungeon that we would have done in the previous game. Although the graphics are better, and I think the graphics are now widescreen by default, because this doesn't really feel like it's stretched out. it might be stretched out. Like the very tip of this mushroom might have originally just been 1 pixel and it might be now stretched out to 2 pixels. I guess that's what we would have to look for is, do we see something that looks like it is just 1 pixel? This slime, for instance, kind of feels like it is 1 pixel. And you just wouldn't have that with just a basic stretching algorithm. We found the Heart Squid. We know there's a bunch around. Although I don't know if it's really necessary to have fanfare every time we find a Heart Squid. Because, yeah, that's gonna happen fairly often. Now we got the Spittle Maze map.
Oh yeah.
With an oh yeah. And so now we know exactly the entire layout of the map. Feels like you should be able to press up or down here, or press a different button to see other maps. That is definitely something that I felt like we should have had in the previous game, that it should have been more of a... Yeah, that was a lucky hit. It did feel like it should have been more of a Zelda type experience. Alright. Now what? It like rotates you around, but I don't think, well, let's think about this for a second. Yeah, this might be easier than it looks, yeah. So we do know we can just hit those things. Alright, so I gotta get out from behind this. And I may just have to use a potion. So let's keep an eye on our health. And it just hits you all the way to the edge. It's a fairly unfair fight. That could have used some work. For sure. Got the key, use it to open unlock doors. That's very basic video game statement that probably isn't really necessary in any game. But then again, if there is 1% of players that don't know that keys are used to unlock doors, or this is perhaps they thought that this game was going to subvert expectations and keys were going to end up doing something different, having that confirmation might be helpful. And hearts don't seem like they fully heal you. They only give you a quarter health. Interesting. And making sure that there's not anything down here. I still sort of feel like the sound effects are quieter than the music a little bit. But then the music also kind of pauses itself, and then when it probably should just play and be a little bit more subtle at all times. What was I supposed to do there? Why did that break? Again, the game just like subverting expectations. In a weird way. I wouldn't strike that as particularly a good way to do it either. Alright. So, unless there's a secret path this way, we got a meat chunk, and we may need that fairly quickly. So you can exit that way, but you can't come back because it's on a higher ledge. I'm assuming that there's some kind of ability. I don't know if it actually is a transformation ability or something different. We now have Risky's pistol. Press the shoot button to shoot enemies and switches. Well, good. Which one's the shoot button? I guess it's the B button. Yeah, they've failed to localize the buttons here to a new controller. Nor are they telling you, just like the buttons that would have been the default buttons for the default buttons for the 3DS, which the ABXY on the Xbox One controller is not particularly too different from the layout of what a Nintendo 3DS or Western release would be anyways. And climbing and jumping the chains does once again feel better. Alright, so you go this way, you hit these two, and you go down here, or you could have just crawled. I suppose it is possible that I need to do this. That's what I need to do. It's possible we may not just get the transformation dances in this game, and they are just having throwbacks with elements that were in the previous game with the flame shooting wall pieces. Once again, they are setting you up for failure by having areas where some of the platforms just drop. There are no bullets, so you don't have to worry about that. I appreciate that as a concept. It's definitely going to make this whole process of platforming in areas a lot easier. No longer do I have to be really, really close to people. I need to get down here and really take these guys on. Or I need to get really good at avoiding being attacked. Alright, let's try this. We'll eat some meat. We're gonna use a pike ball. And we're gonna come to these guys and really take them on. See, even using a meat that hit me enough that if I didn't have the auto potion, I would have lost. You can't undo the pike ball, so you might as well just use it to move to the next areas. I think I would kind of disagree with the idea of the jars breaking and leaving pieces of the jars around, because it leaves this level of visual confusion between what is a collectible and what isn't. I felt the need to double check here and make sure there's not some kind of secret. Yep, no secret. Where are we on the map? Oh, we're almost done. I don't know what kind of boss we're gonna fight, if it's just gonna be yet another crustacean character, or if it's going to be something fairly different. And if this teleports you to the boss room is not part of the map. The red squares are indicators of checkpoints. One assumes that there's a good chance that there are secrets not mentioned on the map. Okay. Cyclops plant with a bunch of funny names. So you have to get yourself to a certain point, and let's see. Oops. No real talk so much as how many life points this guy has. So it wasn't too challenging. And there wasn't any major platforming there. Although, wait a minute. I thought I was done. Okay. He seems to be bouncing in a fairly similar pattern. But he does seem to move around enough that probably is worth it to just eat some meat. Meat chunks not giving me a full health recovery. There we go. So unless there's a third phase, that seemed like a fairly balanced boss battle. But then there was no platforming and no timing on the platforming. But even the falling sections felt fairly like the falling hanging cages didn't feel too difficult. They didn't fall immediately. This is weird that there's a kind of cutscene appearance here to this, where they've put a black border around the whole thing. Tinkerbat's here. So I guess the question is, are the Tinkerbats really working for the Pirate Master? Is it that Risky Boots is like the daughter of the Pirate Master? So now we've got a map to Spiderweb Island.
I did it!
Won't be able to draw power from this place anymore. I better go tell Risky. Yeah. Much more doable. Still way easier to hit these ones with your hair, though. And I don't really have a spell. If I was to think about this completely, I don't think there's a spell to get me to the other areas of this map. Yeah, if I was sorry. Like if I shoot this, it goes up. Sure. That works for a moment, but it doesn't, I think, stay upward. So I don't think with the shooting ability alone I can do this, this, and then this, and then this. Get on this platform, get on this platform, get on this platform, get on this platform, up here, up here, up here, 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 and to this point. Like, because you don't have a shoot shot option there. So there's either a timing issue on that, or it's just simply undoable with our current abilities. I suppose I could have just used the pirate lure, but I don't really see a reason to do that. Let's try and grind a little bit, get some more gold. It's not like we really have a lot of stuff. These crabs are still, I guess, immortal. You can't attack from a lower perspective, so you're overshooting the lobsters also. You certainly took your sweet time. I found something, an evil dungeon and a giant monster, and where did you get that pistol? I found it locked up in a chest. Why? Never mind, anything else. See, and that would be the thought if it is that Risky Boots and the Pirate Master have a relationship, which clearly they do. It either is that he's like her father or mother, or it is that they are old flings, boyfriend, maybe even girlfriend. We don't know which way Risky Boots swings. This island map, one of your Tinkerbats dropped it. He hadn't transformed yet. Interesting. That suggests the Pirate Master doesn't have enough dark magic to go around, which means we still have time to prevent his return. Climb aboard. We're off to the next island. You gave the Spiderweb map. So, I suspect we're not going to have much of a variety in the formula from beyond this. I imagine each island is going to be perhaps slightly bigger than the previous island, but mostly around the idea of one puzzle to open one dungeon, to defeat one boss, to get one item. And then we'll have to come back to every place once we have more ways of maneuvering ourselves. This is Spiderweb Island. I want you to locate the next den of evil and report back. Risky, I've been wondering, how do you know so much about the Pirate Master? Because he was my mentor. Okay. So we do know he's male, and mentor is what she's using. I sailed under his command for some time as first mate. He taught me everything I know. You were part of his pirate crew. That's right. When the genies finally defeated him, I claimed his men and weapons as my own. You stole his stuff after he died. Call it payment for my services, which were long overdue. That Flintlock Pistol was once his. Oh, then I guess you should have it back. Hold on to it. You're going to need it to survive this place. You're not coming? Trust me, you wouldn't want me for company. Best I stay with the ship. Okie dokie. They're going to run out of excuses for the reasons for her not to come along. Now we're seeing zombies, which opens up the high possibility that we're going to see Roddy Tops and her brothers. We got a flesh pop. I don't know if the flesh pops are going to be usable items. I don't know if it's really worth it to take home these guys so much. We really need to go to the store, and it's going to be kind of a hassle to have to check back with the store after each level. That's probably why they are dropping so many items. Let's just see if we can use flesh pops. Nope, they are items that you can use. But it seems to me like it only gives you half a heart. So if flesh pops give you half a heart, then I suspect we're gonna find that the one above flesh pops give you at least a full heart, if not more. And as you find more heart container upgrades, it'll be a lot more reasonable to understand why there's would be a big difference. Alright, let's see. Eating that gave us a full health from being a quarter, 1 3/4 down. So just got an achievement for something. I don't know if I got an achievement for defeating a certain amount of creatures or zombies, or if I got an achievement because these creatures that seem to be unkillable are damaging me so much. We don't know where we're going, so any direction is as good as the last. I don't know how I would reach that heart container. Potion refilled the whole all of my health, so I don't know if potions always refill all of your health or not. Yeek! There's Roddy Tops, and a big spider has caught her. I thought I heard Roddy Tops. Get away from her, you monster. Now the thing here is Roddy Tops, with no explanation as far as what I saw in the previous game, betrayed you because she wanted to eat your brains as a zombie. And there's really no reason why Shantae should have forgiven her. In fact, Shantae should be mad at Risky Boots and Roddy Tops in particular because she's a human now and lost her half geniness. Even if that isn't something that really affected her magic much or did anything really to affect her that much. That was close. You were almost a meal for that thing. Here, this would be funny if it turns out she wasn't. What are you doing here anyway? I live here. And here we have the new depiction of Roddy Tops with cut off jeans and a skull belt, belly showing green skin, lots of cleavage, tank top, her arms stapled on, skull earrings, short green hair. Yep, her leg is also stapled on. She's half Frankenstein monster, half zombie. Yeah, this doesn't look like it's just reused art from the previous game or the director's cut of the previous game. Although I wouldn't be surprised if actually the director's cut of Risky's Revenge actually did use a lot of art from this game, or vice versa, because it would be fairly easy to redo the zoomed in art and not be overly concerned about redoing the animation in the pixelated gameplay zoomed out version. I heard this island had monster web coverage. The joke in the previous game was that they used the web like the internet to communicate. They use spider webs. Here you have a second angle of Roddy Tops that would have had to been drawn. Stop with the web jokes. Sorry. And here you have a third angle. Yeah, you can't just trace a character if you're putting them in different poses. So that is definitely a lot more work as an animator, at least to my understanding, to draw a character in a different pose versus potentially just having the same character in a standing flat pose and then changing their outfit or changing what weapons they're holding. So they definitely tried. I suppose you could do it in 3D, and I've seen a few people manage to make 3D models and then in 3D software understand how to use the 3D software well enough to pose the same character to get different flat 2D looking images, but that doesn't work for most people because most people don't, even professionals 3D modelers don't know how to use the software well enough to do that. Sorry, I'm not paying attention to the story. Well, are you going to help me down or not? And this is like the 4th pose. So maybe this is the only time we see Roddy Tops and they just had to get enough of these in. I wouldn't be surprised if each of these images were used as like Kickstarter or fundraising designs. And it certainly would keep an artist paid and busy while the programmers are still working on the game part. The programming part. Not a chance. For all I know, this is another scheme so you can eat my brain. I ought to leave you there to rot. But I'm already rotting. Ooh. Fine. Yeah, she looks exactly the same as the previous game in the zoomed out version, bouncing back and forth to the music of the world, with Shantae also bouncing back and forth. But I think we should also take a moment to look at what it looks like, what Shantae looks like when we're actually in a gameplay section, because I don't think she bounces back this much. This is kind of more of a throwback to the previous game. Well, what are you going to say for yourself? I think you owe me an apology for all the trouble you caused. I'm sorry, but... Oh, my legs. They're going numb. Oh no, that spider bit you, didn't it? Forget about it. I'm a bad girl. Just leave me here. No way, I can't abandon you in the woods. That would be much too grim. My house is through the forest. If you could get me to my brother's in time. Just hold on, Roddy Tops. I'll save you. Yeah, you can see definitely Roddy Tops' boobs are jiggling like crazy, even more than Shantae's. Shantae, as like her bouncing up and down is coming from her legs, but Roddy Tops is swinging side to side, and so her cleavage bouncing is much more intentional. So, well, I think in the first Shantae game there was a race game where you had to beat Roddy Tops, and you don't have any health here. And so this is kind of a throwback to the first game where you raced, but there is no... It's checkpointing you fairly nicely, and there is no timer here. And I half suspect that Roddy Tops is just faking that her legs went out so she can be carried by you so she can bite your brains. Like, I don't have an attack I can do at the moment. This seems like it's designed to waste your time somewhat. You have to get those jump angles fairly accurate so you're not jumping in the way of danger. See, what this leaves me with is the feeling that this whole section that I'm running through was unfinished content, and thus they decided to use it while not really having any enemies here. On the other hand, this is changing some stuff up, and I can't say that that's a bad thing by any means. Thought that was just kind of in the background. Each of these sections, not terrible, but kind of annoying. I would have kind of preferred just a full race, I think. Seriously. There's a little bit of floatiness in the controls. I think it's worth mentioning that. It's not terrible by any means, but maybe if I use the D-pad instead, I can control things a little bit better. Again, this might be a case that the frame rate is just a little too high. But yeah, D-pad made that a little bit easier. And when you're at the point that you have to program multiple screams because the character is gonna die so often, you might be at the point where you rethink the level of difficulty or the length of this. Although in all fairness, the screams may be just the generic death screams that are used throughout the entire game. And I'm ready for this to be done. Like, they're having us run through the entire island. And it looks like the word TNT, as in dynamite, is on each of these headstones. And then these sections, if I just focus on them, aren't too bad. Of course, this is going to be a problem. The zombies chasing me. Alright, run. I almost went too slow there. This one intentionally is trying to make the move. And then you run here. And then I could fall off the edge in that case. And I will just run there. Do that. Do that. Zombies. I figured we might see some mummies. Not zombies, but we're seeing zombies and mummies, which I guess that makes sense. But we're still doing this. Like, look at just how much of the map we've crossed. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of square footage coverage with you basically having to play pacifist. guess that one won't jump up, but they will eventually spit what only can be described as leeches or sperm at you. I can't believe this thing is still going. I feel like the joke here is Rydo is just gonna say, oh well, none of these would really hurt me anyways. That she's like friends with all these monsters. Okay. That was an example of having to run very fast. And see, this is once again where I think the timing is either running too fast still, or this is or this game is just particularly tight in some sections. Alright, so let's see if we can do this. And apologies if this messes anything up, but I have the NVIDIA control panel enabled. I'm going to change this to 30 frames per second and hit OK, hit apply, and see if that actually will work. And then hit continue. Let's see if that changed anything, or if you have to exit out. I think that slowed the game down to the speed that it's intended to be at. I mean, I'm still getting wrecked. There is definitely a case here where as soon as you can get like a diagonal shot, you're supposed to be able to make that diagonal shot. And you can see, I think by the rain pattern, that it's moving at like half speed, so I didn't think I did slow it down. Of course, the question is, was that the legitimate speed that it should have been at, or am I just cheating the game now? This is annoying, to say the least, regardless of whether it's moving at the wrong speed or not. It is another sequence like the first sequence where there's just a lot of opportunity to fail, not a lot of opportunities to succeed. A lot of repetition and a lot of retrying. And they clearly somewhat knew that, because if not, they would have given you a limitation on lives, and they didn't. Instead, you have just instant continues. Alright, here we go. Alright, I needed to jump is what I needed to do. At a certain platform. And see, if this was an older game being emulated, I would really want to see the ability to make a save state or a checkpoint. And well, you know what we should really try is, let's bring it down to the frame rate of like below what an NES frame rate would be. Let's bring it down to 15 frames per second. And every time I hit the backspace button to type in a different number, it's not letting me. Interesting. All right, 15 is out of range. You have to use the delete button. 15 frames per second. Out of range. Minimum you can do is 20 frames per second. I figured that might be the case. So even at 20 frames per second, the game is not crawling by any means. So either I'm not actually affecting it at all, or, and this is just psychosomatic, like the placebo effect, or it doesn't really affect it that much. Is there a way to skip any of this? Because I'd be willing to do that at this point. And just hope that we had done like 90% of this, and that's good enough. This is a danger with any game, and certainly modern games have not drastically shifted their gameplay styles specifically to avoid these kinds of scenarios where the gameplay itself becomes problematic. Alright. Come on. Finally! Let's go and save. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is exit the game, since we just saved, and then I'm gonna relaunch the game. That's the only way we can know if the lowered frame rate actually is coming into effect or not. And we should find it fairly quickly if that is the case. But, and if that is not the case, and the game is just kind of weird, apparently we're 18% done on the game too, which, okay, that makes sense. Alright. Look at how slow the game is running. Yeah. Let's run back this way. Yeah. 20 frames per second. Too slow. For sure. 60 frames per second. Too fast. Alright. So 30 frames per second would be my guess as to what this game is supposed to run at. Like, I assume that would be what the 3DS had as its refresh rate, because the 3DS is a modern enough monitor that almost certainly the screens on it would have been designed for 30 frames per second. So let's relaunch again at 30. Could also be that the game is just not well suited in general, and there might be somewhere around 50 frames per second, just an arbitrary number that puts the game at its at a reasonable setting. And I guess this would be the way you could cheat yourself into a difficulty setting. It's definitely not smooth though. Like, I definitely would not want to experience it at 30 frames per second either. So I think arbitrary number is what we need to find. 60 is too high, 30 is too low. You can adjust it to any ridiculous number you choose. So let's go 45 frames per second. And I don't know if the frame rate is really affecting the overlay app as much as it is affecting the actual game. So this loading screen, this title is just different code.
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
So let's see how this feels at 45. I don't like doing this level of controlling in the middle of a game, but I kind of don't know what else to do. And the music doesn't feel like it's particularly slowing things down. So the music is probably its own engine. I don't think 45 is enough either. But let's keep playing because I think there's more to this. We've just hit potentially the checkpoint, the midpoint of the game. Hungry. Yeah, 45's too slow, even. I think we're probably somewhere closer to 50 or 50, even 58 frames per second. Just going to more of a PAL region seems more reasonable. And here's the brother.
Just in time.
You can see that they're swinging back and forth really slow. Also, just in time. My hero. But then the audio doesn't slow down. Yo sis, what's with the peeled shrimp? Unless she's here for dinner, she should turn tail and hit the bricks. Abner? Oh, wait, I didn't even know his name. They didn't mention it in the previous game. Some big brother you are. Can't you see she's injured? Looks fine to me. What? Hee, what a ride.
Roddy Tops!
Yep. Roddy Tops, you dirty double crossing. Hey. Eep. Shantae, is it? I've got something I've been meaning to say. I ain't too good at making friends, but you've been good to me and Poe and my sister. It's just that pirate gal has a real way of getting into your head and making you hear what you want to hear. Guess I'm trying to apologize for the bad calls in the past. Teaming up with Risky Boots, dumbest thing I ever did. Oh well, that's okay. Poe and Little Rotters here are all I've got left of whatever life I once had. I can't remember much else. But you always make her smile, and I gotta be grateful for that. Wow, I didn't know it. I don't know what to say. Forget it, we're square. Where the devil's Poe? He ain't been back in a while. He was supposed to fix my wagon so I could skip that creepy forest. Well, if either of you sees him, tell him to check in or I'm gonna get peeved. In all fairness, I will also say I was not really paying attention to the art, the visuals of the guy. So, a very, unbalanced commentary there. Apologies on what he looked like, but it did, on the few seconds I glanced, did seem like they drew him the same. I was more watching the bouncing back and forth. See, I guess if she is standing still, she does have the same bounce as the previous game. It's just that you're always moving. So apparently you can't go any further to the right until the wagon's fixed. So apparently now I'm going to have to find something else. Poe, your brother sent me to find you. Hey, you're that coffee banshee I remember you. Poe looks like he's been redrawn too. I feel like Poe is just kind of the middle sibling, so he's probably never gonna get enough characterization unless you go on an adventure with him right now. Genie, half genie, well, former half genie. Thanks, whatever you are. I was scavenging for wagon parts when I got stuck in here. You like to help people in need, right? Yeah, I guess the idea is Poe is supposed to be dumb. How about taking a look at it? I'm no mechanic, but sure, I guess. Follow me, the wagon's this way. This is all that's left of our wagon. These wheels I can repair no problem, but the axle will never run smoothly again without some squid oil. And this island doesn't seem to have any squids on it. Really? Because I have a squid. Alright, so where are we now? I have no idea. Yeah, you can see this. This definitely is not playable at 8:45. Everybody just moves so slowly. And in all fairness, if this is how it played on the 3DS, I could see a good argument to it not getting good reviews. I don't know if it really did play this badly. I suspect it didn't. And when you're talking consoles like the 3DS, almost certainly there would be a level of frame drops, but not full just frame slowdown. So we are here. And I guess we're looking for squid oil. Which I guess then that means we have to go this way. Let's see. Still don't know how you would really get down there. The sloped areas don't really leave a room for there to be a secret passage, and there is no room here to wait for anything at this frame rate. It's just ridiculous. And since you're slowing down the whole game, you still run into the issue of not being able to really move out of the way in time. So it slowing down gives me as the player more time to react, but it doesn't actually help if the character themselves can't move any faster. Alright, let's try this again. So we've got it at 45. I'm gonna go 55 as an arbitrary number. That would be just 5 frames below normal, giving me only a slight advantage. Just like a half second or so advantage. But you can definitely feel differences in the speeds of things. Personally, I hate to watch almost all YouTube things unless they're at double speed. And then when I translate from double speed to... there's no way I'm going back in there. Alright, well then I went the whole wrong direction. So... interesting. This still feels too slow. So So do I want that small advantage over just... Let's see. You know what I should do is I should come over here and just use this. Use the pirate flare.
Flare activated.
Okay, let's talk to her. Find the next den of evil, I'm counting on you. Are you ready to shove off? Yes. Alright, let's do it. So I'm gonna go back to Scuttletown. And they're reconstructing the town. We don't have enough squids. Oh, we do have enough squids to increase our health. But yeah, this feels really, really slow. So I think I'm gonna have to just resolve to be frustrated. Maybe I can get it down to 59 frames per second, which would be a PAL time. But otherwise, I think I am doomed to just have to run into some platforming sections that are just going to be a little bit painful. The fact that I can or need to do any of this is problematic, for sure. Let's see. I hope I don't need money, so actually, you know what? I shouldn't buy anything until I'm certain that I can find the squid oil and get all of that. Which I think the squid oil probably is from the squid, which is probably from the sewer. You see this character, she slightly bounces up, a much more reasonable bounce. Shantae is doing like deep leg exercises when she bounces up and down. But they definitely are trying to give a feeling of speed and action. Look, I press down an A and I can drop down there. Why are there so many other places where that doesn't work? Almost certainly this is the point, and we're going to go just a little long here. Almost certainly this is the point where you were supposed to get sent back up, back to the main island, so that you realize the game will have you doing that. I could be wrong, but I think 59 frames per second is PAL region. I guess I could double check this. Refresh. 59 hertz, 60 hertz. Yeah, that's about the same thing. And I imagine almost no other game ever would have a problem with being one cycle per 1 hertz or 1 frame per second faster. But yeah, there is just a speediness to this. Like, this feels like direct control, whereas even 55 frames per second felt too slow. Shantae. Yes? We have something to discuss with you at the palace. Please follow me. Interesting. We got dragged into a different experience, but that also fast traveled us to the location we wanted to be. Perhaps you're aware that the Sultana is away on business. As such, a formal inquiry into your recent actions is not possible. No? According to some very old and legal guidelines, responsibility falls to the royal librarian because apparently he once served on the ruling council for one day. He has deemed it inappropriate to cut winsome long hair, be it by scissors, jigsaw, or goat mouth. You're free to go. Yay! Phew, that was close. Oh no, you're not getting off that easily. What's this I hear about you sneaking off to the library? Oh, that, I explicitly told you to stay out of trouble. Now he's her uncle, but he acts like her father apparently. Yes, sir. Next time you might not be so lucky. Uncle, I wanted to ask you. Yes? Never mind. Alright, back to my workshop in case you change your mind. I have a rather sensitive project that requires my immediate attention. Like, she needs to ask him what he was doing with the fire bat characters. And we didn't get that response. She didn't ask him. Keep your chin up, lady. You have friends around you. Good luck. Alright, so he doesn't have any new line of dialogue where it would feel appropriate that you could go thank him. All of these guys have the same old basic dialogue. I imagine the Sultana at some point might be here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sultana is like some giant pirate or a giant dragon, like a water dragon. And that's why the castle opens out so widely to that background. Here we have a new guy. Hello. Well, it's a Cyclops character. Did we see this guy in the previous game? Hi. I am Brandon. Stupendous clandestine powers were revealed to me the day I held erect my enchanted blade and said, "Hey guys, we should go get matching purses." So, I guess they're making a gay joke here. No reason they should just be for ladies anymore. Am I right, fellas? Hey fellas, don't leave. Fellas, come back. And with those words, I became Branson. This feels like this is the Ammo Baron in disguise. Or they're making kind of a He-Man reference for some sort. Or this is the Pirate Master. Branson, I imagine, is supposed to be a pun of handsome. Most capable man in the galaxy. Gosh, that's pretty killer. I know. But the clandestine words only work if I hold erect my blade. And I accidentally left my enchanted blade on the bus. It's got to be that specific blade. Bummer. So yeah, this is a He-Man reference. By now it's probably sealed away in the castle Boneface. That or in a desert. I don't do sand. He gets in the shoes. Alright, well. There's a character that is introduced and obviously is somewhat important. Like, pressing down and pressing A here doesn't let you jump down. We now have the ability to shoot things, but it's still easier to hit these guys. I don't know what the deal with that was, that there would be bricks in the corner. Yeah, that breaks all those bricks. And so unless I'm going to secretly break the ceiling by destroying all the bricks here and destroying all the bricks there so that the squid that might be under that ceiling collapses and falls, I don't know what the point of that was. This is a good area to just work on flesh pops, I suppose. We can get bits of gold and all of that, but it's just gonna be a little monies, not a game-changing amount. It does make the game feel fairly redundant in the fact that you probably won't be able to purchase to collect potions anywhere else, but you kind of don't need potions anywhere else because you're going to have like a full collection of food. Although we may find that you only can have like 9 flesh pops, so at that level 9 may be a insignificant amount. Right. Now that we have the gun, we can do that. And now we've got the travel brochure. And then we can just jump out of here and return it. What, you found my vacation brochure? The one about traveling? Don't worry, it's as good as new. No backsies. Ha, one down. I am a master salesman. The boss said I'd never get rid of those lousy brochures, but he's never witnessed my drain conviction sales technique. Haha. So, I think I still have the brochure. And clearly we're supposed to give it to the squid. Solid snap. Is that a travel brochure? Can I take it? Sure. You gave brochure. Wowie zowie. Look at all of these snapshots. Sand and surf. Free-spirited yet sporty co-ed girls frolicking on the beach. Now, you definitely are getting into some unique Japanese art if you have the octopus looking interestedly at the sporty co-ed girls frolicking on the beach. A sweating tennis player drinking from a perspiring glass of water with a slice of lemon. Old men with full heads of wispy pepper gray hair. Matching pantsuits with a proud navy blue sailor stripe. Shirts unbuttoned to the 3rd button. I must find this utopia and purchase a timeshare post-haste. How can I ever thank you? Oh, I know. You got squid oil, and that was an achievement for getting squid oil, and it's in an oil can. What's this? It's squid oil. I expelled it fresh this morning from my ink siphon. Ew, ew, ew. Whatever's later, loser. And that's, I think, the last we'll see of the squid guy. And we can't go any further to the right. So is there any real fast travel to go back to the left? Or do we have to... It's still so weak, this gun, that it is easier still just to hair whip him, people. Yeah, it does feel like 59 frames per second is the right speed. Like, that'll give me a small, almost insignificant delay for the jumping platform puzzles, and still have the rest of the game feel smooth and fluid, which even at 55 frames per second it wasn't really working that way. And I suspect that part of the reason around that is because the engine probably collapses on itself when it's running at a unstandard resolution. Like, even hitting these guys though, it's like, just, that is a ridiculous amount of hits you have to do. And, you know, even trying to be as far off the edge and as you possibly could be before you start falling, you still don't have enough jump. let's keep on going. I guess this might be an area to grind if you needed pike balls or something, although I don't think it really gives you a significant amount of pike balls. This whole area feels like it is here just to be a throwback. It's a decent place to get pike balls, I guess, and get currency. And it also makes sense, I guess, to have an area on the main island where you could go and grind and get more gold, just in case. So let's go into the shop. Since we didn't have to purchase the oil, that means we can buy auto potion and auto potion, and that puts us in a sold out state with auto potions. And the idea there is to have, well, we have 8. You probably can have 9. And we'll eventually try to get 9 pirate flares, and we'll eventually try to get 9 potions, regular potions. And I think that's kind of all that we will do. It seems like everybody has some new lines of dialogue. And that is a fairy fountain that just refills your life. So, let's see. There's a secondary line of dialogue that everybody is saying here. So we have to run and talk to everybody a second time. Let's see, who else do we have to talk to? This guy. What's back here? Let's talk to him. Oh no! What is it, Uncle? My workshop has been ransacked. Who would have done such a thing? Doggone it, there goes my experiment. And that's as much as we're gonna get as far as story. As far as what he was experimenting on. We're changing the town's name to Ammo Town. Who are these guys and where's my house? Remember in the intro, a lot of places, a lot of places, the background houses were just falling down completely and getting destroyed. You can't go into your own house. I feel like you should be able to. Feels like a good point. And then this just immediately goes here. The Ammo Baron is bringing soldiers from everywhere. Gunners, pilots, and even the Techno Baron. Oh dear, oh dear. I wish I had 5 meaty chunklets to help me feel better. Have any for me? Well, I guess no? I have popsicles, yes. So we now have a submission to have the meat chunks and not use those. But yeah, it doesn't feel like we're gonna swim or do any other platforming or anything in this area. I think I've talked to everybody. So I'm just gonna run in here and save. And that's gonna be it for this recording. Apologies for having to exit out so much and tweak the frame rate, and we are certainly in a point where there is a chance that even with the 1 frame reduction, some of the running and platforming sections are just poorly quality tested for the PC port at least. Yeah, and so the 1 frame advantage may not actually be as good as it might seem, and we'll just have to wait. I can say my thumb feels fairly blistered at this point. So that the whole running sequence was more than I would really expect from a platforming game that started off being E for everyone and now is rated for this version. This game is rated teen plus. The main thing I would say is there's an inconsistency in the difficulty, and we don't want to see difficulty spikes and inconsistency. If the whole game was difficult, then I could have just gotten a nice little kiss off in the first 20 minutes and died over and over again and just rage quit and potentially refunded this game if that's just the kind of game that it was going to be. But we definitely are going an hour of doing generic platforming that's totally doable to then having sections of racing sections that are the characters just move a little too fast. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.